Hey, this is John. I am gonna do something again today, just as maybe a thought and uh, maybe a an idea that I had about how we've been saying for I don't know years now that Jesus was enough for us, that Jesus was all that we needed, that God was enough. That what do we have to offer as a church? What do we have to offer as a people of God? And it's Christ. No fancy programs, no idea of of what the world necessarily wants or what the world demands from church. But we're just going to offer Jesus. We're going to offer His face. We're going to offer His companionship. We're going to offer His love. We're going to offer His face. We're going to offer His giftings, His ability to have a relationship with the Father. We're going to offer His leadership. We're going to offer His way of church. And thinking of that and thinking of what we've been teaching and preaching for years now at Refuge Church, we're kind of forced into this idea of what church is now. What is church? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? You have so many people now that's kind of displaced because for many of us, I know for me, since I've been a Christian, this is absolutely the longest I've been without being in a church service with a group of people, in a church service with in a church, in church walls. And I know there's many others, just the same way. That they just this is the longest they've been. And what so kind of what does that mean? What does that look like? And to me, it goes back to what I just said. Is Jesus enough for us? Would we be singing His praises chained in a dungeon? Would we be able to praise His name and sing hymns as we're totally not in a comfortable church, but in a very miserable state, in a very miserable place where we have nothing? Will we still be okay with just Him? He's enough. My reward's enough. I get to be with Him. God is enough. My relationship with the Father, His presence is enough. Because I know a lot of us are getting just antsy. We just completely have cabin fever. We have so many things that are driving us crazy with the world, with worry, with work, with money, with just wanting to see people, just wanting to go out to eat. We're really spoiled. But at the same time, that's what God has become to us. That's what Christ has become to us. And nothing wrong with community, nothing wrong with corporate worship. But I think He looks into our hearts at times like this and sees us either okay with just Him, or what we consider just Him is not really just Him. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe sometimes our hearts get exposed to us, in times like this where we're like, hey, I'm not okay with this. And actually, God is there. He's right with us everywhere we go. He's all around us. He's surrounding us in everything that we do, and even in our four walls of our homes, and places that we don't normally consider to be a holy place. It actually is, because God very clear about we're His temple. We're His place of worship. We're where He dwells in us. So He is here. He is with us. And so it's back to that question: is He enough? Or do we actually desire the more structured church? And that's what we miss, and that's what we crave. And like I said, I'm not any kind of judgment, any kind of way over anybody, and even myself. Or the only one who I can really deal with this with is myself. So the question is again, what are we really missing here by not meeting together? Because I know I can list a long list of things that I miss, but Jesus is here. He's still with us. He's right with us. He's in our midst, and he's not absent, or he's not far away. He's right beside us now. He still answers prayers. He still hears us cry out. He still hears us as a spiritual body, who is gathered in the Spirit, together, giving him praise, or asking things of him, or still, God, use me. What do you have for me today? What do you want me to do today? Where do you have me? Remember what I asked last week? What is God saying, even in the midst of all this? We all know what the world's saying to us right now. We're all reacting to what the world's saying to us. Are you reacting to what God's saying? Are you reacting in the same way, with the same intensity, with the same drive as you're reacting to what the world's saying right now about what's going on? Are you acting in that same way about what God's saying and what God's doing and what God wants right now? Because he's obviously saying something. So in all of that, I came up to the church today, because I had this. I knew it was somewhere, and I had this story, and it was actually from a Max Lucado book, and I came and found it. It's God Came Near. It's one of those books that I love. It's about Jesus, and just one of those things that helped spark my love for him, and how he's so close, and how he not only came close, but he's close right now to me and to you, and it just is. It's a story in the kind of the introduction of the book that I want to read, and I'm not going to say a lot more. I just going to ask you to think about what this says, and I was reminded of it when I was thinking, when I had this thought go through my mind, is what's different about Jesus right now? What's different about God right now, in this time where we're not able to meet together? He's still here. We just have to see him. We have to still pursue him, and not necessarily by the songs that we love or the messages that we love to hear, but just by him. He's still here. So I'm gonna read this, and I hope you get something from it. Christianity in its purest form is nothing more than seeing Jesus. Christian service in its purest form is nothing more than imitating him that we see. To see his majesty and to imitate him, that is the sum of Christianity. For 51 years, Bob Edens was blind. He couldn't see a thing. His world was a black hall of sounds and smells. He felt his way through 5 decades of darkness, and then he could see. A skilled surgeon performed a complicated operation, and for the first time, Bob Edens had sight. He found it overwhelming. I never had dreamed that yellow is so yellow, he exclaimed. I don't have the words. I'm amazed by yellow, but red is my favorite color. I can't believe red. I can see the shape of the moon, and I like nothing more than to see a jet plane flying across the sky, leaving a vapor trail, and of course, sunrises and sunsets. And at night, I look at the stars in the sky and the flashing light. You can never know how wonderful everything is. And he's right. Those of us who have lived a lifetime with vision can't know how wonderful it must be to be given sight. But Bob Edens isn't the only one who has spent a lifetime near something without seeing it. Few are the people who don't suffer from some type of blindness. Amazing, isn't it? We can live next to something for a lifetime, but unless we take time to focus on it, it doesn't become part of our life. Unless we somehow have our blindness lifted in the world, then the world is a black cave. Think of it. Just because one has witnessed thousands of rainbows doesn't mean that he's seen its grandeur. One can live near a garden and fail to focus on the splendor of a flower. A man can spend a lifetime with a woman and never pause to look into her soul. And a person can be all that goodness calls him to be and never see the author of life. Being honest or moral or even religious doesn't necessarily mean we will see him. No, we may see what others see in him, or we may hear what some say about him, or some say he did. But until we see him for ourselves, until our own sight is given, we may think we see him, having in reality seen only a hazy form of gray semi-darkness. Have you seen him? Have you caught a glimpse of his majesty? A word he has placed in receptive crevice of your heart that causes you ever so briefly to see his face. You hear a verse read in a tone you've never heard, or explained in a way you never thought, and one more piece of the puzzle falls into place. Someone touches your painful spirit, as only one sent from him can do, and there he is, Jesus, the man, the bronze Galilean, who spoke with such thunderous authority and loved with such childlike humility. The God, the one who claimed to be older than time and greater than death. Gone is the pomp religion. Dissipated is the fog of theology. Momentarily lifted is the opaque curtain of controversy and opinion. Erased are our own blinding errors and egotism. And there he stands, Jesus. Have you seen him? Those who first did were never the same. My Lord and my God, cried Thomas. I have seen the Lord. Lord, exclaimed Mary Magdalene. We have seen his glory, declared John. Were not our own hearts burning within us while we talked? Rejoiced the two Emmaus-bound disciples. But Peter said it best. We were eyewitnesses of his majesty. His majesty, the Emperor of Judah, the soaring eagle of eternity, the noble admiral of the kingdom, all the splendor of heaven revealed in human body. For a period ever so brief, the doors of the throne room were open and God came near. His majesty was seen. Heaven touched the earth, and as a result, earth can know heaven. An astounding tandem, a human body housed divinity, holiness, and earthliness intertwined. There's no run-of-the-mill Messiah. His story was extraordinary. He called himself divine, yet allowed minimum wage Roman soldiers to drive a nail into his wrists. He demanded purity, yet stood for the rights of the repentant whore. He called men to march, yet refused to allow them to call him king. He sent men into the world, yet equipped them with only bended knees and memories of a resurrected carpenter. We can't regard him as simply a good teacher. His claims are too outrageous to limit him to the company of Socrates or Aristotle, nor can we categorize him as many of the prophets sent to reveal eternal truths. His own claims eliminate that possibility. Then who is he? Let's try to find out. Let's follow his sandal prints. Let's sit on the cold, hard floor of a cave in which he was born, or let's smell the sawdust of the carpentry shop. Let's hear his sandals slap on the hard trails of Galilee. Let's sigh as we touch the healed sores of a leper. Let's smile as we see his compassion with the woman at the well. Let's cringe as we hear the hissing of hell's Satan. Let's let our voices soar with praise of the multitudes. Let's try to see him. Has it been a while since you've seen him? If your prayer seems stale, it probably has. If your faith seems to be trembling, perhaps your vision of him has blurred. If you can't find power to face your problems, perhaps it's time to face him. One morning, something happens to a person who has witnessed his majesty. He becomes addicted. One glimpse of the king, and you're consumed by the desire to see more of him and say more about him. Pew warming is no longer an option. Junk religion will no longer suffice. Sensation seeking is needless. Once you have his face, once you have seen his face, you will forever long to see it again. I wanted to read that as encouragement. It's not a matter of all the things that we see that we call church and we gather together as church. It's a matter of seeing him in everything that we do and everything that we see and everything everywhere that we go, even if that's nowhere. It's about Jesus and it's about seeing him. When I came up to the church today, I didn't really know even what I was looking for, and God led me straight to this. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's it. That's what I was looking for. And when I was about to leave, I actually went in the bathroom, and something that I really haven't noticed before, I guess I have, I really just don't pay attention because it's just one of those little sayings that's on the wall. But in the men's bathroom at Refuge Church, there's a little picture, and on that picture it says, "Wash your hands and say your prayers because germs and Jesus are everywhere." And I'm like, what a great little picture to go with the times that we're in right now. It is. He's everywhere. He's everywhere we go. And if you were to go into Walmart or to some place where just hundreds of people were right now, what would you do? Just think about it for a second. Okay, let's say thousands of people were there, and okay, what am I doing as a person who's heard all this about COVID-19, and now I'm around thousands of people, and I'm not supposed to be around more than 10 people at a time, and I'm supposed to be 6 feet apart, and now I have to go in here, and this is a life or death situation. I have to go in here and get something. How would you react to that? Think about it. You'd have your mask on. You'd I've seen pictures of people with trash bags and duct tape. It's been crazy, some of the things that I've seen, but it's because of the germs, right? It's because of all the stuff that's around that we know we might catch this terrible disease. And so now I'm around all these people and all these germs. What am I going to do, right? It may not even be there, but just the thought of it being there would cause you to just be the most careful, washing your hands and germexing and masking and doing all of these things that you would do. I know what I would do, right? All of us would be that way. We'd be super sensitive to the fact that we might run into some of these germs, some of this disease that we know is affecting so many people right now. But Jesus is everywhere too, right? And how do we react to that? How do we react to the fact that not just germs, but Jesus is everywhere? Everywhere that we go and everywhere that we are. What about that truth? Because, yeah, there might be some germs there around all those people, and we would absolutely react to that. But Jesus is definitely there. And right where you are right now, how are we reacting to that? Father, thank you so much for this day, for everybody that's listening to this. God, I pray that you help, that you heal, that, God, all of this pandemic that's going around, God, that whatever whatever you're doing in that, God, that you get it done. I pray for the people that are sick, people that are affected by this. God, I pray for the ones who aren't affected or sick by this, that you protect them. God, that you give us everything we need to make it through this time of uncertainty and fear in our lives, for our families and friends, and God, for our church. God, but I pray that you continue to show us that you're here, that you are near, that you are with us, that God, you are around us, and that God, you want the very best for our lives, God, that this isn't scary to you, that God, that you're saying something in the midst of this, and God, I pray that you help us hear you in this. Father, I pray for all things going on right now. I lift this church to you. I lift these people to you. And God, I pray that you continue the good work and finish the good work that you've begun. We love you so much, and we thank you so much for Jesus. And this is his name we pray. Amen.